Hey, welcome, and my name is Zach DeWeird, and this is The Night Sports Show. So I have Alex Vanderlaan, Mark Vanderlucht, and one of our regulars is Caleb Bradley. He's not here, so we actually called one of our friends, Simon Hordyk, up from the minors. He will be with us for this hour. So we have a bit of a unique show designed for today. We are going to stick with one topic really for the whole show. Because it's Hockey Hall of Fame induction weekend this weekend, we wanted to just talk about current NHL players and maybe recently retired NHL players and see if they're good enough to make the Hockey Hall of Fame. So I just want to start with maybe a few of the locks into the Hockey Hall of Fame. So obviously, Martin Brodeur is going to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Colton Orr.
Colton Orr is
First
not
ballot,
quite
no question right there.
in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Is he retired?
I believe so.
Don't think he's playing right now.
Because he played for the Stockton. He played
It's
for
an involuntary retirement.
But maybe he wants to make a comeback.
kind of like Floyd Mayweather.
Right, exactly. Floyd Mayweather.
He's gonna have
that might be a good fight, Mayweather and Colton Orr.
Mayweather and Colton Orr.
That's something I'd pay to watch.
Okay, so let's get back on track.
Let's go back on track. So Martin Brodeur is eligible for next year. If he's not in the Hall of Fame, if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer,
I'd be shocked.
The writers did something wrong.
Yeah,
Best goalie of all time, no question.
691 career wins, 4 Vezinas, 3 Stanley Cups, Conn Smythe.
Olympic history.
Olympic golds.
Yeah.
What more do you have to do?
I don't think there's a bigger lock in terms of goalies than Brodeur.
Well, because he's
Like
a lock. He's a first ballot. Like, there's no question about it. So
all right, so Brodeur and
there's a goalie that comes to mind though who is up for debate. Chris Osgood.
Osgood, I was going to mention as well.
Yeah.
He's won 3 Stanley Cups,
but his stats are not good.
His stats are not good, and a lot of people think his team was so good in front of him that he didn't actually contribute that much to the team.
I think that's a good point, but you could say that about Brodeur too. That the team in front of him, he had Niedermeyer, he had Stevens, he had really good defense. But at the end of the day, it's the goalie that has to make the saves. It's the same analogy in baseball that like you can be surrounded by good hitters in your lineup, but at the end of the day, you're the guy that has to hit the ball
to be in the Hall of Fame.
At the end of the day, Osgood had to make all the saves. He had to be between the pipes.
Yeah, it's not like nobody shot on him.
So essentially, Chris Osgood got or Corey Crawford got the Chris Osgood treatment. When Corey Crawford has won his cups.
And do you think Corey Crawford is going to be in the Hall of Fame? I say I don't know.
I don't think so.
You do think he will be?
Really?
Did I say it?
I thought you nodded your head, but
I said it's debatable. All right, so Simon, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I think Osgood has a significantly better chance of making it than Crawford does. Just because Osgood has been waiting longer, and he's already got those 3 cups to his name. He knows what he's doing.
But
he's
Crawford
played on a
has
better
3 cups to
team.
his name as well.
Yeah, but he played in a different time.
Okay.
The thing is, if we go Crawford, then do we have to do Jonathan Quick? And if we do Quick, well, technically Fleury has a couple of cups to his name
Fleury
too.
got cups as a backup. Murray,
that is true.
Murray won 2 of those cups for him.
That is true. But again, it opens up a whole another door of guys that we can talk about.
Yeah, but Fleury back when he first started in the league, he was a liability in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They brought in other goalies to play in the playoffs. They brought in Thomas Vokoun to play for him. That's how bad they were.
Pretty low. But if we start talking about current goalies that we think should be inducted, I think that Lundqvist, even though he's never won a cup and hasn't really had a whole lot of playoff success,
Luongo's number 4 all-time in wins right now.
He just passed that on the weekend. Congratulations to him. And Lundqvist is
he's listening.
An elite goalie as well. So definitely Lundqvist and Luongo are pretty close to locks.
Both of them have Olympic golds.
Both of them have Olympic golds, right?
That's a lot.
But what are the chances that either Florida or the Rangers win a cup anytime soon? So
this is the Rangers' last chance, I think, this year.
Unless what's Lundqvist's contract? Any of you guys know what that's looking like?
I think he's got 2 more years.
I think his cap hit is around $8 million, isn't it? 8 mil.
Yeah, we're asking about term. Like, how long is he on? For the Rangers?
I believe it's longer than 2 years.
Oh, so
it's
he's still going to be a Ranger for a little bit.
Ooh. Yeah, it's a long time.
So if you're Lundqvist, do you request a trade to win a cup? Or do you stick with the team that's being loyal with you?
He plays a position. He's too good at his position to be traded to a team to actually be useful.
But this year he's gone downhill, though.
No, it's basically he's going to get the Troy Tulowitzki treatment. He's going to be paid like a superstar. He plays like a superstar. But then once he gets traded to another team, what else is he going to do on that team?
Stop pucks.
Yeah, no, duh.
If he starts stopping pucks in front of a good team, he might win a cup.
Yeah, but what team can afford his cap hit with assets along with that? Not many good teams.
Well, what playoff team needs a starting goalie?
Exactly. That's what that is. That's exactly what that is. And those playoff teams, their salary cap situations are already tight to begin with.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, Toronto doesn't need him. Chicago doesn't need him. Washington does not need him.
Yeah, like while we're talking, I'm actually trying to
him.
go through the playoff teams of last year. Who
Nashville
actually
doesn't
needs
need him.
a starting goalie? Yeah, that's right.
No playoff team.
The teams that I think need a starting goalie are bad teams. Like Arizona needs a starting goalie. Antti Ranta's not cutting it for them, clearly. But
it's all about Wedgwood now.
I don't know if they trade him to the Rangers. To the Islanders, sorry, but that's a team that is in a playoff position
That's true.
now. They have a pretty good team, but who's the goalie now?
Thomas
Greiss and Halak?
Thomas Greiss.
They play back-to-backs, I don't know.
Yeah, they're like a 1A, 1B.
But again, that's a crosstown trade. We don't see many
Yeah,
of
it's
those.
hard to
you're not
trade
gonna-
it across state. Even to New Jersey, they wouldn't give it to him.
Yeah.
No.
Unless if Tavares leaves, that's...
So going away from goalies, so I'm on a website, ESPN.com. They actually have like 43 players who are currently in. If they retire right now, would they be in the Hall? A few of the other locks. Zdeno Chara.
Yes.
He's won a Norris.
He's the
won a
active
cup.
points leader in defense.
But when I think of him,
6'9".
he's not like I've always thought him just a big guy, but he's actually he used to be a skilled big guy. He won the Norris, so obviously he's not bad at defense, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think that Norris plays into it, too. Like, he was the best player at his position for a time.
Yeah.
And that says something for sure. And he was top 3 for probably a good stretch in there, too, when Boston won the Cup.
My biggest thing, though, is, like, when he was in the WHL at 6'9", how do scouts from NHL teams let that go unnoticed? That is the tallest player to ever lay skates in the WHL, eventually into the NHL. Why wouldn't you take a flyer on that? I would. You can't teach height, you can teach skill. All right? If you teach Chara, which Chara was taught how to skate well and how to move the puck well, if you can teach that, you go for it. He had potential. He realized his potential with Ottawa and Boston.
And the Islanders,
he was essentially used as a goon on the Islanders.
Okay.
He racked up close to 200 penalty minutes every single season, and he got maybe above 20 points once or twice.
That's goon-worthy.
That's goon-worthy.
I think part of that also might be he had to learn how to use his size to his advantage. Like, when you're 6'9", that's a big boy right there, right? He had to learn how to use his size to body opponents without taking penalties. And happy it clicked for him because
he's done very well. So I would agree with all three of you. I think Chara is going to be a lock in the Hall of Fame when he retires. But what is he now? He's 39.
Yeah,
and he still wants to play hockey.
Yeah, they're talking about signing him again for another 2 years.
Yeah,
I mean, I wonder if Chara was, I don't know, average height, even if he'd still be around. I think his height is really an asset.
It's definitely an asset. He's got the reach.
Yeah,
but he's also a good leader.
He's
been a good captain for their team. He won the Messier Award.
I just really don't like Chara as a hockey player.
Well, you're a Leafs fan, so him slashing Kessel or Kessel slashing him. And then another lock, obviously, Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, that's just not even a question.
If Sidney Crosby isn't in the Hall of Fame,
they're doing something wrong.
They're doing something wrong. 2 Art Ross, 2 Maurice Richards,
best
3 Stanley Cups
for like over the past 10 years.
Yeah. So, and arguably
pretty much
still
since he came to the league.
Yeah. Another one who's not in the NHL anymore, but still playing hockey, Pavel Datsyuk.
Yeah, I was about to mention him too. I think he definitely deserves to be in there because he was also the best player in the league, arguably.
Oh yeah.
But he has not hit 1,000 points yet, which is it's a low point total.
But he also
but he was a good defensive player.
And
he was a good defense. He's won the Selke Trophy.
That many games, like compared to other guys in a full career, right? Like I think he barely made over 1,000. And I think that, so the guy like him, you have to look more at his points per game.
Yeah, his points per game is 0.96, so just
really good.
1,000 games.
Yeah, for a guy that won the Selke, how many times? 5 or 6, I think.
Yeah, he had a good stretch where he won consecutive trophies,
Like, we see a guy like Bergeron, who's regarded as one of the best defensive forwards in the game today, and he's only racking up 60 points, 65 points a year.
And I was actually talking about Mark about this yesterday. Is Bergeron going to make it in the Hall of Fame? He's one of those high bubble players.
I think Bergeron's definitely on the bubble, but they generally don't look at defensive stats as much for the forwards.
No, that's what I'm thinking as well. Like he's never had a big season points wise, but he's won 4 Selke trophies as defensive player of the year.
And he's won Olympic golds.
And he's won
Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where if he's going to get in, I think it's going to be off of his body frame of work in the international scale. Because his World Junior success as well should play a part in it.
How much World Juniors do they care about in the Hall of Fame, though? Because then you're not playing against the best players anymore.
That's just a tiny little aspect to tip the scales a little bit, I think. It just is another little caveat to show that he's a full good player through international and NHL. So I say Bergeron should be a Hall of Fame player. If he can maintain 60 points consistently on a year-to-year basis while being a Selke candidate, I think for sure he should be a Hall of Famer on top of gold medals and a Stanley Cup.
So how much? So if you're a writer, what's the biggest thing? Is it the Stanley Cup the biggest thing, or is it how much hardware you got? Is it?
I say it's your contributions to the team's success. How much of a vital cog in the system were you to when your team won?
And like if Bergeron was not on the Bruins, they would not have won the Cup in 2013.
It would have been a very different story because that series went to 7 games.
Right.
And their next center was David Krejci, who respectfully is a very good centerman. It just creates that whole matchup thing.
And Bergeron is very good in the face-off circle.
Yes, very good.
One of his biggest assets.
Yeah.
Getting back kind of on topic with what we look for most in a Hall of Fame player, one of the things that article mentioned that we're kind of going off of that I really like is that the player has to have been a top 3 guy at his position for a number of years, in my opinion, to even be considered for the Hall of Fame. Because then it becomes the Hall of Very Good if we don't take that into consideration. And that's where a guy like Bergeron, I'm not sure, because I don't think he's ever been a top 3 center in the game since he's been around. He's been very good. He's certainly a top 3 defensive center, but Datsyuk, on the other hand, was a top 3 center for a number of years in there. And that's why I think Datsyuk has the upper hand on him.
Another player who's also not playing right now, Jarome Iginla. Is he a Hall of Famer?
100%.
Mark, I see you.
The gold medals mean enough?
2002 gold medal, 2010 gold medal, 2014 gold medal.
And he nearly led the Flames to the Cup in 2004.
To the Stanley Cup.
2004,
and he's a 500 goal scorer as well.
Yeah.
So I think that speaks for itself. He's won the Maurice Richard Trophy. He's won the Maurice Richard Trophy. I honestly think he should be in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
There's no doubt in your mind.
No.
One player who is still young, who I have next on this list, Patrick Kane. Is he? If he retired right now, do you put him in the Hall of Fame?
Right now, I'm not sure about.
I think
he's still pretty.
I'd say
young.
He's on the bubble, but I would give it to him.
He already has 3 cups.
3 cups, a Conn Smythe, an Art Ross, Ted Lindsay, a Hart, and he scored the game winner for one of the Stanley Cups.
And again, he's a top 3 guy at his position, probably the top. Yeah.
And he won the Calder.
I mean, I have no doubt that he will be. I'm just not sure about right now if I'm ready to give him that title.
Another guy who we're talking about right now, Erik Karlsson. If he retired right now,
Erik Karlsson's on the bubble.
Is another on the bubble. And
I don't think I'd give it to him.
He hasn't won a cup.
He doesn't have anything in the Olympics.
Olympic gold medal.
He has 2 Norrises, which is the only thing that
I think I'd put him in that same category as Kane. That eventually, no doubt, the impact he's had on the game in terms of teams looking for an offensive defenseman like Karlsson to run their power play.
Yeah, he has changed the game, which is a big factor in what they want in the Hall of Fame as well.
And what would Ottawa be without Karlsson?
It'd be nothing. The guy plays half the game.
They would not be a game away from going to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. That is for sure.
And he had a broken ankle for half that series, which is incredible.
Yeah, both his feet were broken.
Shows how tough hockey players are.
Maybe Ottawa can have a glimpse of what they will look like in 2 years when Karlsson hits free agency and asks for $14 million a year. So that's my reasoning on that. I honestly think Karlsson should be in the Hall of Fame. But then you look at what he's done in the playoffs in the NHL. He hasn't done much, but then you look at the team that he's worked with. He has been the general. He has been the motor of the offense.
Yeah, that's right. And
he has done the most for his team, but he hasn't done enough yet, I don't think.
No. But I would definitely say, though, if a player can win a trophy or an award more than once, such as the James Norris Trophy, you should be in consideration because that means you were the best defenseman in the NHL that year. And if you can win that several times over, that means you were the best defenseman more than 1 year in the NHL. That means you can be the best 3 to 4 to 5 years. You are the best. So that's my opinion on that.
So then what about Drew Doughty? What about a guy like him? Is he Hall of Fame worthy?
I love Doughty. Like, Doughty's probably top 3 player in the NHL right now for me in terms of who I like the most to watch. But Canadian media hypes Doughty up a lot. I don't think there's any disputing that. Like, the Canadian media loves him, and they were behind his Norris Trophy. Not that he didn't deserve it, but he got a lot of support from Canadian fans because he's a Canadian guy, and we all just love him up here. I think need to see a couple more years out of him, I think. He has cups to his name. He has a Norris. But yeah, a couple more good years, and I think he's right there along with Carlson. Mark's got some thoughts.
Okay, so why do you say that he shouldn't get NHL consideration?
No, I think he should. Not right now. I think he should eventually, but not right now. If we're comparing a guy like Carlson, who's been top 3 defenseman, point per game almost, while providing at least above average to good defensive play.
7th overall in points per game by a defenseman. In between, I read
not all time though, just in the season.
All time.
All time. Oh my goodness.
Point per game he's 8th in all defense. I think it was behind Doug Harvey, and
Doug Harvey's a Hall of Fame defenseman.
Doug Harvey is a Hall of Fame defenseman.
Yes, he is.
So I think at
There's
this
your
point,
answer.
Yeah, Erik Karlsson should be in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, in this day and age of hockey, it's considerably harder to score goals, and he's making it look pretty easy at times.
Carlson?
So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
If he's 8th all-time in points per game for a defenseman, in this day and age, I don't see how you can say no to him.
He's a dangerous guy to have on the opposition on the power play.
And then my one point with Drew Doughty, though, okay, is his roles with the Kings Cup runs. He was their number 1 defenseman.
Oh, yeah.
And then Team Canada, he's a top 4 defenseman in their gold medal runs. So, and he's a Norris candidate year in and year out, all the time, every single year. He's an annual Norris Trophy defenseman.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, for him, he's an absolute no-brainer. Erik Karlsson right now is on the bubble, but leaning towards a Hall of Fame berth. In Drew Doughty, to me, is a no-brainer. Absolutely. He's got gold medals and Stanley Cups.
I think that eventually they both will be no-brainers, but for me, they both need a couple more years. But I have no doubt that they will continue to perform at this level. But yeah, just a couple years to legitimatize themselves.
So how big is points in a defenseman? Because Erik Karlsson is .83 points per game. Doughty is .53.
See, but it's also different looking at the points per game for a defenseman now than it was before. Because now you get a lot more offensive defensemen. Whereas before you used to have a lot more stay-at-home defensemen and like 1 or 2 anomalies of a offensive defenseman.
Dennis Potvin.
Like a Dennis Potvin or Phil Housie or Brian Leetch.
But the thing with Doughty and Karlsson is they play very different styles too. Like, Karlsson's relied on by Ottawa to be the catalyst on their offense, whereas Doughty, he does more of a defensive role on their team, and that's what he's asked to do, and he does it very well. And Karlsson does his role very well. But I don't think we can look at points per game there.
Defensemen on their team. They have Muzzin, they have Alec Martinez on their team, who are defensive defensemen. So I agree that Doughty is more defensive than Karlsson, but I think Doughty does have an offensive role on LA compared to his other defensemen on that team.
Well, Doughty's the guy that does it all.
Doughty does it all.
He does it all. Karlsson is protected a little bit. He does, however, have a little bit of PK time during the season and the playoffs as well.
Blocks a lot of shots.
He does block shots. But Doughty is undisputedly a two-way defenseman, an elite two-way defenseman who moves the puck, transports the puck. Definitely a defenseman I would want the Leafs to target if he hits free agency.
That's gonna be a tough contract.
I won't be crazy about the cap hit. Karlsson is an offensive defenseman. He's an elite offensive defenseman. Does he do it all? Not quite. His defensive game absolutely leaves more to be desired. So that's where I leave that.
All right. So next player, he is second all-time in points. Jaromir Jagr is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Next.
Yes.
Okay,
All right,
next.
yeah, next. Evgeny Malkin. Is he
I was
alive?
about to bring him up too. I say yes.
I say yes. I mean, he's in Crosby's shadow in
I
Pittsburgh.
know, he's
but
always going to be a second-line center.
when Crosby was hurt, Malkin was the best player in the league.
And he's won Hearts.
Yes,
he won
exactly.
Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think he definitely
He won the
is.
Conn Smythe, one of the Stanley Cups.
Yeah, so even with Crosby as your star, he's still done better than the star who's supposed to be your star of the team, which I think is very good. So, I would give Malkin a 100% lock. Mark?
Yeah, well, it's you know what my answer is. Malkin has been when Crosby goes down, Malkin's their number one, and he always puts the team on his back, and he turns into the best centerman in the league. When he is on, he is the best centerman in the league. There's no doubt about it. When he wants to put the puck in the net, he's putting the puck in the net. Evgeny Malkin will get his way with you, and you can't do anything about it.
And then, obviously, one of the big controversies with Malkin is he was left off the top 100 of players of all time. What are your thoughts on that? I think that he could have made it.
I think he could have made it too, but I think the biggest knock against him is he doesn't have anything on the world stage.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the Olympic medals. He doesn't have the World Cup of Hockey or Canada Cup. He doesn't have anything like that. So it's hard to judge him best on best tournaments again.
Right, and another player who's next on my list who hasn't done anything on the world stage, Alexander Ovechkin. Is he Hall of Fame worthy right now?
I think he is.
He's one of the greatest goal scorers of this generation.
Yeah, over 500 goals already. He's a threat every time he's on the ice. Best winger in the game, no question, for a number of years, if not still.
He's already
He checks all the boxes other than those those trophies
Cup.
for me. Yeah.
I don't think he's not won an Art Ross. He's not won a Hart. Has he won an Art Ross?
Yeah, absolutely he has.
For points.
I would absolutely assume
Won a
so.
lot of Richards.
He's definitely won Richards, but I don't know if he's won an Art Ross. I'll actually check this out right now. But
He's a transcendent goal scorer.
Okay, but when you can score up to 6, I think he's close to 600 goals if he hasn't reached it yet.
he's at 510.
He's only
He won the Art
32.
Ross in 2008. He did. That was my mistake.
Okay.
And he won the
So
Hart that year as well.
when you can get close to 600 goals in the salary cap era, you're pretty good at scoring goals.
And he's not even close to retirement in my
He's 32.
He's
got
another
8
5,
seasons
6
left of at least 30 goals guaranteed.
So where do you see him going in the all-time list? Do you think he could crack the top 10
In terms of
all-time
goal scorers?
goal scorers?
Who's
Top 5.
Who's 10th right now? Or what's that threshold
10th
look
is
like?
Mario Lemieux is 690.
Ooh. So he's Ovechkin 571, did we say?
So he needs 100 goals in 8 seasons. That is
That's
definitely attainable.
doable for Ovechkin, and he doesn't show any signs of slowing down right now. Like, look at the way he started this year. That was
He's
crazy.
slowed down a lot.
Did you see the start of the year for him?
Yeah, that's great and all, but he went scoreless for 10 games
And
later.
it still shows that when he wants to, he can put the puck
Yeah, when
back
he
in the net
wants
like anyone.
to, but when does he want to? 3 games every other 10?
Maybe.
So that's he is.
I think he can certainly get to 690 goals.
And then
absolutely.
Push
fifth-
750 even.
And then 5th in the all-time is Marcel Dion at 731. So that's
Whoa.
attainable as well.
That's
Yeah.
160 goals.
In 8 seasons.
8 seasons. That's
Well, we can't discount the fact
20
that
goals a year.
Ovechkin is a power forward. He's a big guy that crashes the net occasionally. He's a big guy who can who will most likely slow down. He's a perimeter player as
That
well.
shot.
Oh, yeah, it's great he has a shot, but how often does he get it off
Yager's-
and get it into the net now?
Yager might not be the type of power forward as Ovechkin, but Yager's not a little guy either, and he's still going at 45. Not saying Ovechkin will, but
Okay, so that's interesting that you bring up the fact that Yager is a power forward. He's a puck possession power forward. Ovechkin is a run you over, hit you into the boards power forward.
fair enough.
Yager will never hit you. Ovechkin will.
If Ovi keeps getting the power play time he does, though, he's becoming more of a power play specialist, less of an all-around game guy. So if he keeps on getting the power play time and they put him on that circle, he can definitely pass 150 goals in the next 10 years.
Scary power play as long as he's out there.
And one of the big things with Ovechkin is obviously he has never won a cup. So do you think that will diminish his chance at the Hall, or do you think he's in the Hall no matter what Washington does in the playoffs?
I think that when it's all said and done and he retires, I don't think that'll affect his Hall resume at all. Like the guy, as we were just saying, he's going to be top 10, top 5 goal scorer of all time. He has a Hart Trophy. He's best winger in the league. for a stretch. I don't think he needs a cup. I mean, it would be nice for him. I hope he gets one because he deserves one, but I don't think it's going to matter at the end of the day.
But one player who might have done very close enough and might have done it if he got a cup is Nicholas Backstrom, who might not have the points, but he's on Ovechkin's team and doesn't have a cup. But is he diminished because he has not won a cup yet?
The question is, would Backstrom still be the same player he is if he didn't play with Ovechkin?
Exactly.
Or would Ovechkin be the same player if he didn't play with Backstrom?
I think Ovechkin would be. I don't know about Backstrom.
Yeah, Ovechkin would still have the goal-scoring talent, but Backstrom needed someone to pass to.
Exactly. Right? Backstrom's a pass-first kind of guy who needed a sniper like Ovechkin or someone that can put the puck in the back of the net.
Because if you get a secondary assist on Ovechkin, that's a point, but it doesn't really mean you did a whole lot.
Right, and Backstrom has a lot of primary assists on Ovechkin's goals.
And again, back to the top 3 disposition, I don't think he's ever been a top 3 center in the league. Maybe top 10, but top 3.
Ovechkin's been a top 3 left wing for at least a decade.
Yeah,
oh, definitely.
100%.
So next we have Vancouver, the Sedin brothers. Are they Hall of Fame worthy? No cups, but they have won Olympic gold medals.
This one's hard.
Yeah. The cup thing with these two, because that Vancouver team was so good and they were so close.
They were Game 7.
Yeah, like
they had a good year.
That's as close as you can
they
get.
won the President's Trophy a few years in that short span as well.
And
they were 1-2 in scoring a couple of years.
And they were that team. Like when you think about that Vancouver team,
Who else
it was
there?
the Sedins
Burroughs,
and the Luongo.
and he's not great.
Yeah, Burroughs and Luongo.
Yeah, like it was the Sedins team. And in that kind of sense, the Sedins were an item in the hockey world. Like everyone knew who the Sedins were, and I think that will help their case. Is that they had a cultural impact on the game. Like when you think about those Vancouver teams, you think about the Sedins. And yeah, that's such a tough one though.
If they weren't brothers and got these stats on their own on individual teams, I don't think they'd make it.
Oh, agreed.
But because they're brothers, it's just a good story.
Maybe it shouldn't affect it, but it will, and it does. You can't look past that fact.
So another player, I'm going to go back to the next player. So we're done with the Sedins. I think they should make it, and I think, by the way it sounded it, you guys do as well. Mark, one last comment on the Sedins?
I think it'd be good for hockey or cool for hockey to see that the twins get into the Hall of Fame together. That'd be quite the
Imagine
story.
Going separate, different years.
Oh,
one gets voted in the first year, one gets voted in the
That'd be
Wow.
awkward.
That's bragging rights. That is some
But
serious.
who's going first? Who's the better player?
You
Daniel's
can't.
Daniel's a scorer, Henrik's a passer.
Yeah, exactly.
Henrik's
You
the
can't say
captain.
which one or the other. They both feed off of each other, and they both need each other. So it's basically you just put them in together both. They have an Olympic gold. They have Art Ross trophies. They have Hart trophies. I'm not sure about a Maurice Richard trophy,
I don't think so.
Daniel might.
I'm not sure.
but that's the thing though. They don't have playoff. They don't have a playoff track record.
They made the cup
Besides going
finals.
to the game
Yeah,
7 of the finals.
okay, they've made the
Besides
finals,
that,
but what happened in the finals? They lost.
They lost.
So it's one of those things, though.
I wonder how their careers would have went if they had been separated and if they hadn't been on the same team for their entire life. That's something interesting to think about because they clearly did feed off of each other, and they were the best 1-2 combination in the game.
Courtesy of Brian Burke, he is the whole reason why they actually got
crazy. They
to
have
play
those
together.
back-to-back picks.
So, yeah, he traded to get back-to-back picks to draft both of them.
Smartest thing
He
they ever
went first
did.
overall because they went 2 and 3.
Atlanta Thrashers, Patrick Stefan.
Wow.
That was
Yep.
a mistake.
Wow.
And
Wow.
Atlanta Thrashers are no longer a team.
Nope.
2 mistakes.
So the last lock they say on this website, and he is a center, but I don't know if he was a top 3 center at any point in his career. Joe Thornton, is he a Hall of Famer?
Jumbo Joe. Again, if he were to have won that cup with when they played Pittsburgh in the finals 2 years back, I think he might be.
But he's
Yeah.
But he's been a pass-first guy. Yeah, he has a Calder, right? I think he won.
When you look at Adam
Calder
Oates,
that
Yeah, he
year.
won Calder.
Adam Oates was a past first guy, and he's in the Hall.
Adam Oates had a lot of 100-point seasons back in the day. But
Well,
Adam Oates
Thornton
also played
had
with Brett Hall,
had a
I
few.
guess.
Thornton has had a few, yeah.
So and Thornton
different
played in a
eras.
harder era to
Yeah,
score.
that
in,
is
so
true. That is true.
That's
I think he's a bubble guy.
I don't know. Thornton has won himself a few Art Ross trophies, I believe. 1 or 2 for sure.
He
One
won a
for
couple
sure.
on Boston.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
he's played on Team Canada's Olympic gold medal team in 2010. So he has the Olympic or international pedigree, but he does not have the playoff pedigree. So he's a bubble guy.
Yeah.
He does have almost a point per game, though. He's at .96 points per game.
Right. So
he has 1,400 career points, actively only behind Yager, who is insane, so he doesn't really count. He's pretty much the active leader in points by a large margin, by 300 points over Marleau.
And Datsuk has a .96 point per game, and we voted him in the Hall. So, and obviously we're not going to vote people in the Hall, but we said that Datsuk should be in the Hall of Fame. So I would think that Thornton would be pretty close to a lock as well.
He's got a sick beard. That might be worthy.
He's got a sick beard as well.
Beard Hall of Fame.
We're actually going to take a quick break. It's about 6:30. So this has been the locks. When we get back, we'll talk about more of the bubble players. So expect a bit more debates and a bit more disagreements, on if you say. We'll be back in about 5 minutes, so stick around. Welcome back. This is the Night Sports Show. I'm Zach, along with Alex, Mark, and Simon.
Hi.
Why, Mark? Why?
So we talked a lot about the players that are for sure into the Hall of Fame, and we're going to continue down that. But now we're going to talk about players who aren't actually playing anymore. So that's about the likes of Rod Brindamore, Daniel Alfredson, Curtis Joseph, players like that who we think that have a claim to be into the Hall of Fame but aren't yet. So I want to hear you guys' thoughts on any one of those players who you think have the biggest claims between maybe Brindamore, Alfredson, Curtis Joseph.
Alfredson sits when he pees.
Okay, that's from a Leafs fan. We don't get none of your opinions count at this point.
He does.
I've seen it firsthand. No.
Alfredson's leadership deserves just based purely on his leadership.
Okay. No, leadership? Are you kidding me? That's a joke. That's a straight up joke. Alfredson is one of the most gutless pukes in the NHL I've ever seen in my life. He's classless. He chokes. He choked every single postseason.
They made it to the finals in 2007.
Oh, cool! But they got demolished in 5 games. They lost 6-2 in Game 5. Nice, good job, Alfie. Thanks for showing up. Here's your participation ribbon.
He did win a King Clancy, which exemplifies leadership.
I'm not going to comment on this because I echo many of Mark's thoughts, and he's putting it so eloquently right here.
Okay, he has.
Wow, he won a King Clancy.
He has a gold medal.
Cool. Did he
has
win
a Mark
an Art
Messier
Ross?
leadership.
Did he win an Art Ross? Did he win a Hart Trophy?
He has a gold and a silver medal.
Oh, that's nice.
In Alfie's defense, he does have a Calder, if that means anything. Not a big trophy, but it is hardware. 1,000 points, almost a point per game in his career.
Cool.
I don't like the guy. This is only his first year being eligible. If there is a year where there's a weak class, I think he's got a shot.
I say he'll make it for sure.
But there are guys that need to get in before him, in my opinion.
Brindamore has just under 1,200 points. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? He won the Cup with the Hurricanes back in 2007, I believe. 2006. The Ducks were 2007 when Alfredson lost.
Yes.
Right, 2006. And they beat the Oilers. So I think Brindamore has a decent shot of getting in before Alfredson. And then another guy who we just talked about, Curtis Joseph, who is up there in all-time wins and has played. But the thing is, he played with so many teams. Nobody really wanted him.
I always liked watching Joseph growing up. But again, I think there's guys that need to get in before he does.
I don't know. He's got a lot of wins, but he might make it eventually.
Again,
I'm with Al on this one. Weak class, but he might not be deserving.
Wait, okay, 1 sec. Zach, did you just say that Curtis Joseph was not wanted by many teams?
The Leafs wanted anyone.
Well, how many?
Are you kidding me? No. When he was with the Edmonton Oilers in '94, when they were playing against the Dallas Stars in the playoffs, he stole that playoff series. Edmonton did not have a shot at winning that series.
But how can we play it on 7 teams? Because
teams wanted him. Because he was good. He was the number 1 goalie. No. When he played with the Leafs, he was good. Okay, when he was with Detroit, he was pretty good.
But, okay, if he was on so many different teams, there's only 2 options. Teams didn't want to commit to him, so they gave him a lot of short-term deals. Or one team obviously didn't want him that much, so they traded him. Or he didn't
want to commit to other teams. Ever think of that?
He just wanted to see the world.
Salary?
I believe this is what you call a two-sided argument here.
Well, did you ever look at Alexei Yashin's salary?
I've never.
Sergei Fedorov's salary?
Why are we looking at their salaries?
Pre-cap era, salaries were just ridiculous.
It meant nothing then.
Yeah, like, who was it? I think Sakic was making, like, 33% of the entire team's salary
and it was
before the lockout. Yeah, he was definitely worth it.
Because they won a few cups. Him and Waugh back in 2001.
Peter Forsberg.
Okay, so we're going to go back to current NHLers, unless you have other guys have other NHLers.
One guy that I think should get in is Jeremy Roenick. I'm actually surprised that there isn't more conversation about him entering the Hall. On the checklist.
He doesn't have a lot.
The 4 things: individual production, over 1,200 points in his career. He was a top player in the NHL for a while. He definitely had a cultural impact on the game.
Does he have any hardware though?
Not. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I couldn't tell you. I
think the best he made an All-Star game.
Oh,
he's been in like 7 All-Star games or something, but he doesn't have any hardware.
Just based on the points and the cultural impact he made on the game. Like Roenick, he was a personality.
Yeah, he 100 points on 3 different seasons.
That's impressive. And not in
1,200 career points,
but I just wanted to throw his name out there.
No disrespect, but yeah, the no harder really gets me like, oh, was he that great? But yeah, 1,200 points is nothing to complain about.
More than Alfredson.
More than Alfredson, more than Brindamore, who we both talked about. Mark, what are your thoughts on Jeremy Roenick? He gave a little bit of a disgusted look.
If he doesn't have any hardware or a Stanley Cup or international success, don't even consider him. It's great that his stats are good, but a lot of NHL players' stats were good in his era. Like, you look at a guy like Bernie Nichols, you guys don't even know who that is.
Yeah, we did.
That's what I'm saying. He put up like 140 points when he was playing with Gretzky. All right, didn't win a single Stanley Cup. Didn't win any hardware. Okay, should he be in the Hall of Fame? No, he didn't win anything. What?
I don't think Roenick ever played with anyone as good as Gretzky, though.
Roenick was considered for the Hart a couple times, but he never won it.
Okay, but when he played on Chicago, he played with some pretty good players on that team.
Who was on Chicago at that point?
Doug Wilson was pretty good. Chris Chelios was on that team. Okay.
Hard to put up points then. If you don't have anybody to pass to, how are you going to put up points?
That's what I'm saying. His line mates were pretty good too. Steve Larmer was a good player. All right. The players he played with were good. All right. But he didn't win a cup. He didn't win a gold medal. He didn't win any hardware. How can you justify him being in the Hall of Fame? It doesn't make any sense. If you put him in the Hall of Fame, you open up the Hall of Fame to very good players or good players. He was a good player. I'm not taking that away from him. He just took advantage of an era that scored a lot of goals. Like, he did not impact the game at all. He did not dictate how the game was played in any which way. He was never a top 5 forward in the game.
That's false. He was 5th in Hart voting one year.
Oh, that's great. When he had 120 points on Chicago in 1992. Okay, who else had 120 points? Gretzky. Luc Robitaille? Cool. Mario Lemieux? Brett Hull?
Actually,
these are all elite players. What are you talking about?
Roenick's best season was 1998-99 with the Phoenix Coyotes. 130 points.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying, though. He scored in an era... No, he scored in an era...
You're saying how he's been playing with good players. He was good on the Phoenix Coyotes in 1998. Nobody.
Jeremy Roenick.
Jeremy Roenick. So...
Shane Doan was pretty good.
But was he playing in 98?
Yes.
Was he great in 98?
He played with Keith Tkachuk.
Keith Tkachuk...
He was pretty good. Like, Brett Hull played... Oh, no, he wasn't a part of Arizona.
By then, Hull was washed up, too.
No, he wasn't.
Yes,
No, he wasn't.
After he left Hartford, he was washed up. When did he play for Hartford?
Did he ever play for Hartford?
I got the wrong player, I guess.
Brindamore played for Hartford, but that was right before they moved to Carolina.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But still, like, the fact is, Jeremy Roenick has no place in the Hall of Fame. He was a great player.
You don't even think he's close.
No, not even close.
He will never get voted in.
I'd say he's not
He
deserving, but
he
he's
didn't
closer
win
than Mark
any-
thinks.
Back to the
No,
Brett Hull. Brett Hull played
he-
one season on Phoenix when he was 41 years old. He played in 5 games, registered a grand total of 1 assist that season.
Good job. Great for fact checking. Nice.
Thank you. Okay, switching topics because.
Oh,
they're gonna
come on.
disagree
No.
this. What do you think about Alex McGillney? You think he's a Hall of Fame guy? He's triple gold.
Russian rocket right there.
He's got a gold medal, got a Stanley Cup, got a World Championship gold, over a point per game. Granted, his career length wasn't that long, but
Now, okay, I'm not quite sure if he's ever won a Stanley Cup, but I do know that his time with the Leafs was actually a very good time, as he was in his mid-30s, and he was definitely hovering around a point per game average. When he was with the Buffalo Sabres when he first came into the NHL, I know that he for sure was a top-flight forward, but was he a top 5 forward in his position? No.
I don't
There
know.
were still
The year
so
he
many
scored
options.
76 goals, that's crazy. I was reading the other day on that, actually, and the 50 goal and 50 game club is pretty exclusive, but McGillney actually did it that season. The only problem was he was hurt, so his first 50 games weren't the team's first 50 games, and therefore it doesn't count, technically. But he did score 50 goals in under his personal first 50 games, which is pretty impressive.
It's impressive nonetheless. It's more due to the fact that he also scored in an era that was easy to score goals in. You look at those pads that the goalies wore; they were oven mitts and road hockey pads, like pillows. They literally wore pillows, basically. Like, yeah, no kidding. Did he impact the game? Yes, he did. He was a part of the Red Army, the dynamic Soviet Union, who literally dictated how hockey was played. They changed how hockey was played. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? I would say it's up for consideration. I'm not positive on his international success. I don't think he won a Stanley Cup. I'm not sure if he won any hardware either.
He won the Lady of Fame.
He did win a Stanley Cup. He won a Stanley Cup, a gold medal, and a World Championship medal, gold medal. So he has all 3 international boxes checked.
Okay, so then he should.
Did he win it? Oh, he won it with the Devils
Yeah.
back in 2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so then I would absolutely say then he should be close to being a Hall of Famer.
He's been eligible for a long time now.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 9 years.
Because what was his best statistical year? He scored 76 goals.
76 goals, 51 assists.
With the Sabres, right?
127 points.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
the Sabres.
That's a good year.
That's a
76
really
goals
good
is
year.
hard to do.
But like Mark said, it was a league where it's easy to score in 1992. But
Okay, so then, that's he when he was in the NHL post 90s or post 2000s, he was still a effective hockey player. So my biggest check mark for NHL or for any NHL player deserving of Hockey Hall of Fame recognition is how good they were. How long did their prime years last for? How was their career longevity? How effective were they in their position? Were they ever a top 5 player in their position? Did they impact the game how it was played? Did teams build around that player? Were they impact players? Were they meaningful players? Did they change games on a dime? Not with a period or two. Did they change a game within a shift? That's my thing.
you say McGillney is one of those players.
Yes.
He fills a lot of those boxes.
He fills a lot of those boxes.
But then you can. I don't want to go back into this, but Roenick almost.
I'd say Roenick fills
Did a
all those
lot of
boxes
those
as well.
boxes.
No, but then you look at
I
his.
said I didn't want to go back into this, and I regret it. But
Roenick
Zach's
is
shutting this one down.
No, because McGillney has a Stanley Cup. He has international success. Roenick doesn't. He just doesn't.
But McGillney
Roenick
was not.
doesn't. No,
McGillney
Roenick
was
doesn't.
not an impact player in the 2000 New Jersey Devils.
Okay,
He played
but that
12
was when he
games.
was like 34. It's kind of hard to be an impact player when
But
you're
you
34.
just said he was still an impact player in the early
He was
2000s.
no. Okay, here's no. Here's what it is. He was an effective player for what he played. Okay, was he an impact player? Not necessarily. Okay, impact players are literally the first line, second or first pairing, first line, starting goalies, okay? Those are the impact players. They change the games, okay? They score the goals, they shut down your players and score the goals and to stop the pucks, okay? For what his role was on the team, he was an effective player. Was he an impact player? Not all the time. Based on the fact that he was in his mid-30s in the 2000s, okay? He was not in his prime years. He was out of his prime, and for the role he played on the Devils, he was an effective player. Was he an impact player? No.
No, he was not.
So,
but then that goes back to your conversation of why, if McGillney goes, is it the Hall of Very Good?
Going back to our Roenick for a second, because we just mentioned him, but the year that Roenick's best year on the Blackhawks was also the best year of his career. The second highest scoring player on that team was Chris Chelios. So he wasn't playing with the best line mates. But anyways, I just wanted to throw that in there.
We're actually going to go one last player who has retired, Martin St. Louis.
Yes, he's eligible next year.
So is he going to get in first ballot?
I consider him a first ballot player. He won a Stanley Cup. He has 2 Art Rosses. He has Hart Trophy. He has Olympic golds. He's carried his team. He's almost a point per game player throughout his career. His production didn't drop off in the playoffs at all. If anything, he got better in the playoffs. He paved the way for small players too, and that's a game changer.
5'6"?
Yeah, he's 5'8" max.
So what seasons did he carry the Lightning
to the Cup?
But that was
2004.
Dave Andrechuk, Vincent LeCavalier were also on those teams. But
yeah, they were all on the team, but he still won the Art Ross that year. And he won the Hart that year. He won the Conn Smythe.
Yeah.
He's got a couple lady bangs.
He's the oldest player in NHL history to have won an Art Ross trophy as well.
Yeah, he won at 39.
That's pretty good.
It's like anybody who can lead the league in scoring at 39, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, who's 30?
Albeit it was a short.
Zdeno Chara right now.
That was the shortened season, I think, but still.
Oh yeah, he was 37.
37, sorry.
That'd be almost like Patrick Marleau or Henrik Zetterberg
winning the Art Ross
right now. Yeah, you can't say Chara, but you could say like Zetterberg or Marleau.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you on that.
So.
Yeah, looking at St. Louis' career, he does have a very strong case. Like his peak, he was a very good player for what's that? Looks like 10 years. Very high peak there.
Undrafted player too.
Good find by Tampa.
Really?
It took him a while to get going in his career.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at that as well. He
played a lot, and he played in Calgary for a little bit. Tampa then traded for him for whatever reason. Before he won the Hart,
he really wasn't that great of a player.
No. He just had a breakout season, and something happened.
That's all it took.
Playing with LeCavalier and Richards helped him.
Yeah, that'll do it,
eh? Clearly.
Going back to a few players who are playing right now, another goalie who is doing very well. He won the Vezina last year, Sergei Bobrovsky. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Again, I think we need a couple more years out of Bobrovsky.
A couple more years.
It's hard to see with him.
A lot of Russian guys don't come to the NHL right away.
Looking Sergei up right now.
He is 29.
Okay, so he does have a lot of years left in him.
Yeah, he's got time.
And on a good Columbus team, he could be up there in all-time wins.
He has 2 Vezinas? Or just one?
At least one. He won last year, obviously. I don't know if he's won another one before that. I wouldn't be
He's been a
surprised.
Vezina finalist for a lot of years.
Yeah. But
he does have 2 Vezinas,
He does have 2? Both to Columbus?
Yep. First year on Columbus, he won it, and then he won it again last year.
But yeah, like a .920 save percentage, career save percentage, is very good. That's Hall of Fame worthy. Like there are a lot of goalies in the Hall of Fame who have less than .920. Again, like Mark said before, goals were very easy to come by back in the 80s, 90s. But .920 save percentage in any league is Hall of Fame worthy in my opinion. So if he keeps that up, it even slips a little bit, which is, it's only human. .920, like I said, is very good. But I think he's Hall of Fame worthy. Maybe not if he retires now. A few years, he will be, in my opinion. Another player I want to talk about, Marian Hossa, who's very close to the end of his career. Is he Hall of Fame worthy?
He does have cups. How many cups does he have?
At least 4.
Really?
3 or 4.
Wasn't he that guy that...
He was the guy
He was on Pittsburgh when they lost to Detroit. He was on Detroit, yeah.
He's been to a lot of finals, at least.
he's won it with Chicago at least twice. At least twice. Probably 3 times.
He could have had 2 more if he just picked the right team.
The right team or stuck with the one team at least.
That's so unlucky, though.
But
like, man, I don't think he had a cup yet to his career at that point when that happened.
He didn't.
That must have kept him up at night.
So, what are your thoughts on him? We talked about his cups and his unfortunate past, but
he had good defensive play. He was like one of the best defensive wingers in the league.
Did he ever win a Selke?
He never won a Selke because Selkies never go to wingers for whatever reason. They generally go to centers because centers play more defense than wingers do.
Top 5 in voting, though, at least once.
Guy Carbonneau was a winger for the Montreal Canadiens in the 90s, in the 2000s. He won the Selke several times. And there's another forward for the Dallas Stars. I forget what his name was. He's a Finnish forward as well.
I'm thinking you're Lettinen?
Yeah. Yes. He's won the Selke as well. But I will definitely agree with Simon. His defensive game was absolutely one of the premier defensive games in the game. His offensive game was also up there as well. He signed a huge contract with Chicago that required the NHL to look into it because it was so big. Is he a Hall of Famer? I would say yes, based on the fact that he's got 3 Stanley Cups.
And already right now he has a stat, 525 career goals.
Exactly, he's a 500 career goal scorer.
For me, that 500 goals, that's a big number. Like,
how many 500 goal scorers?
Yeah, when you get over 500, you automatically need to be considered.
Yeah.
I believe there's above 15 to 20, maybe 3,500 goal scorers, and I would take a good guess at least 95 to 100% of them are in the Hall of Fame.
There are 45 500 goal scorers.
Okay, I knew there were quite a bit, yeah.
So Jeremy Roenick is not in the Hall of Fame. Pierre Turgeon, I don't think is in the Hall of Fame either.
I would take a guess that he should be.
Keith Tkachuk is not in the Hall of Fame.
He's not.
We could talk about him.
We could talk about him also, who very well could be.
I'm going to say
538 goals, 1,065 points in 1,200 games. So he's probably at a 0.8 points per game, but
Jeremy Roenick has 500 goals, eh?
513.
Yeah.
Wow.
So does that change his mind? Does that change your answer?
But then again, he's a part of the 500 club.
Back on the Jeremy Roenick.
No, okay, that's
all with Jeremy Roenick.
Okay, we're done here. We're done with Jeremy Roenick.
Peter Bondra has over 500 goals.
Yeah,
wow,
I just saw that as
that's
well.
surprising.
So 90. It looks to be 90% of the 500 club is in the Hall of Fame.
And 99% are deserve it to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame, besides one anomaly.
And you know who his name is. Shmerny Pronek.
Marian
His name.
But we are, unfortunately...
I would say Marian Hossa deserves to be in the Hall.
He's a yes.
Yeah, I think he's borderline for me.
Unfortunately, we are at 6:58, and we have people waiting to join in the studio. So that's going to have to be it for the Night Sports Show. I want to thank Simon personally for filling in for Caleb.
No
and
problem.
I want to thank you all for listening, and we will be back next Sunday at 6 o'clock to maybe discuss more Hall of Famers or discuss what's going on in the world of sports.
Auf Wiedersehen.
I'm Zach DeWeird, and I hope you all have a great night.